Welcome to the Pistol Midweek Mental Break.
All right, Mark. Whoop. Midweek again.
Wednesday.
And
I don't know how to do games.
Wednesday, don't. Yeah.
Please don't.
It's like they're going to be like you're here in the background.
Wedo. Not again. Not again.
Not again.
Jeez.
All right, so T's off on his little date or whatever. Or Tony is.
Tony.
T's with us today.
That's little T.
Yeah. Little T.
T Junior.
So now it's
T-bag.
T-bag.
Oh, he'll appreciate that one.
Yeah. Oh, you know what's funny is I was looking at fighter pilot nicknames the other day, and one of the guys' name was T-bag.
I love it. That's so funny.
That's fucked up.
That's him.
You call him T. Yeah, that's T-bag.
T-bag.
Tony T-bag. He's not even here to defend himself.
No.
That's
And that's
fucked
what
up.
you get for not being here.
Yeah, that's what happens when you leave
skip out
early.
on
Hey,
us to go to the state
You'll
fair.
know if he listens to the podcast or not.
We're not going to tell him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
like
tell him.
that.
Hey, T-bag.
T-bag.
Okay, so midweek, Mark, I sent out the information on the topics that we're going to talk about, and T doesn't watch the news, apparently.
I was
She likes
told
it.
by my doctor not to watch the news, and I got used to it, and I don't want to see the bad stuff, and I don't want to hear the bad stuff, because
Dr.
it
Schmacher.
sets me off.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a lot of guys that don't watch the news.
Yeah.
Me, personally, it's all fiction anyways, so...
I'll throw my
watch
2
it.
cents in with you guys, whatever stupid stuff you guys say.
All right. So, one thing, Mark, that here locally that's going around that came out last week was the lawsuit at Phoenix PD with these officers that got in trouble for posting shit on their social media.
Crazy.
I don't know about you, and T, I think we came up around the same time. I was told early in my law enforcement career back in 95 when I first started that as a law enforcement officer, your opinion doesn't matter. Don't have one. Right? You go off the facts. That's what you go off of.
Yeah.
Okay? And that held true my entire career. Best advice I ever got when it came to being a cop. 2 things that I learned and that I was taught along the way was it's weird because that shit's gone now when they teach that. I don't know what they're teaching in the academy now. But the fact that these guys are trying to sue so that they can post shit on their social media is completely weird. But the 2 things that I held my career to, I learned early on from a veteran cop, started his career back in the late 60s. He said, Manny, 2 things you'll need to know as a cop. Common sense and good judgment, and always keep a smile on your face and a song in your heart. Okay?
That sounds like some sort of Irish limerick.
You know what? As funny as that
And
sounds...
then we had some Lucky Charms.
Yeah. Mark, as funny as it sounds, that has gotten me through my career. Common sense, good judgment,
That makes sense.
and
Song in your
song
heart.
in my heart.
And skip when you walk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
fucking Mary Poppins over here.
But you know what, though? None of that. Like, I look at these guys here at Phoenix PD, and they're like, we're suing you because you took away my First Amendment. Right?
Well,
What do they want on their...
They put some real...
They put
Facebook.
some bad shit
put
on
some
their fucking
controversial
Facebook.
stuff. And here's the thing. So any civilian, like you'll see all your civilian friends posting that out there. But here's what I was told. And I came out of a military background. So it was like, you will not go to political protests. You will not be part of a protest.
Right.
You will not be part of a hate group. And who would want to anyway?
Right.
But anyway, you won't be a part of those. And if you want to be, bye-bye. You're out of the military. And when I joined the police department, it was along the lines of, hey, you're not going to do anything. And when I joined, it was before, Facebooks and stuff like that. But they said, you will not do anything that will bring any kind of discredit to
Right.
this department in any way, shape, or form.
Correct.
Including expressing your opinions.
Right. It's an
And-
opinion.
So I was like, oh, okay. I just shut my face.
Right.
And guess what? And I didn't have the temptation, I suppose, of Facebook and whatnot when I was still on. But it's so now you want to stir the pot. Here it goes. when you're an employee, I hate to cross wires with officers, but when you're an employee, you will adhere to their standard of conduct, and any conduct unbecoming of you, whether it's on duty or off duty, you're going to get in trouble with.
Absolutely.
Now, I also had a really savvy lieutenant once told me, she said, if anybody ever asked you what you were doing and it was off duty, your next question should be, your answer should be, why are you asking me about what I do in my off-duty time?
Right.
So, I mean, there's a huge contradiction there, and you do have certain things. So I don't know what the true answer is. All I'm saying is, I know me. I wouldn't be, if I was an employee at somewhere, specifically a police department, I would not be putting anything on there that could come back to get me in the back.
Right.
So it's just that simple. That's my thought on it. What do you
Right.
think?
Well, I think that's the difference in thinking between older generations like ourselves and these new generations that, you know.
Well, I think the problem is they think that's a right and not a privilege.
Well, it's not a right.
It's not.
It's
not.
No
You
more
shouldn't-
right than I can go scream fire in a
Right.
theater.
Is that in the
Policy?
rights? No, the Bill of Rights.
No.
Well, I mean, it's not.
Freedom
Like
of
there's
speech
so-
is, of
there's
course,
those-
but when you're an employee, so let's throw this little ripple out another layer, and these sports people, these NBA stars, yeah, hey, get out of Taiwan, you know, and all that stuff in China that's stirring up the controversy over there. You're an employee of the NBA. I don't care if you're the coach or a player. If the NBA says you're not going to comment on this because it's going to hurt the company,
Right.
you're going to shut your
You're
mouth.
going to shut your mouth.
Or just leave the NBA.
Right. You don't like the company's policy,
And
leave.
it's kind of, it comes back to us too, here at the department too. If what you're saying, and what's your objective too? Like, I understand some things can get your blood boil, but don't be the pawn that gets pushed out into the front of the board to get taken in the next move because I got so angry. Come on, man.
Well,
Come on,
part
girl.
of the
You get angry every day in this job. You get angry. People are screaming in our face. People are jumping in our stuff. And you know what we do? We handle it like professionals. We don't fall into that pawn got shoved out in the way of everything. Granted, it is your off-duty time. But I'm just telling you, there's no reason to weigh in on that. You can still have your own opinion and stuff like that. But remember, you're an employee. And if they say your conduct is unbecoming, your job and your badge is in jeopardy now.
Well, and some of the stuff that they're arguing is that they just simply reposted what was already out there.
I get that. You know what? I can go search high and low and find something about the Ku Klux Klan, and you think I'm going to post that or repost it? No.
Well, I mean,
you're not.
and that's what they're arguing is
Not
that that's a
going to.
free speech violation.
You know, it's the same thing. I mean,
Well-
you got a freedom of speech, and you can talk about how you disagree with everything in the Quran, and go ahead and do that, and you know, face the ramifications. You have the right to do it, but it might not be the smart thing to do.
No, exactly.
So why do it?
Well, because they want to be popular on fucking Facebook. or
Well, that's
whatever.
ridiculous because they don't realize if they get in trouble or something happens to them later, you know, that's all going to be public. It's all going to be out there.
Exactly.
And it's shit they don't think about. Like, oh, I'll never get in trouble. Like,
I think
you
that's
dummy.
what a lot of people fell into. I think most of them fell into the idea of, you know, maybe on their own, on some subconscious level, they thought it was funny. They hit or share or something like that.
Reply all, maybe?
Yeah, and not realizing that, oh, you know,
Oops.
man, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah.
You know, and seriously, you guys should go clean up your stuff. If you got stuff like that that's gonna start offending people,
Well,
and stuff like
and
that,
look, here's the
pull
deal.
it off, or get yourself a, change up your name to where it isn't your
Right.
name on your uniform.
On your uniform. Well, look, and in our world,
Whatever you got to do.
T can attest to this. I was around, I don't know, T, if you were, but I was around when our department had the email scandal
Yeah.
where everyone fucking sent out bad emails.
Mhm.
And a lot of people were disciplined, rightfully so.
Mm.
Me, fortunately, I did not forward any of the bad emails to anyone. I got no discipline. They were funny shit. I'm not going to lie. But I did not, I didn't produce that more and, spread it.
Mhm.
Not because I didn't think I should. I just was like, whatever. It was funny. It was over. It ended with me. But
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that you should be able to post whatever you want on your off time. You still represent the department. You still represent the badge.
That is
And-
with that job.
You are always a police officer, whether you're on duty or off duty, because you have a duty to act. So
Right.
there is
where-
no off duty
so
for
where,
police.
Where does the privacy start for the
It's
officers?
there's none.
Now, come on.
No, because look,
Come on,
if
man.
you go
gotta
out,
have something in your home, like hey,
if you
know
go
what?
if you go out and do something stupid on your day off, you're going to be held to that standard. You know that. What happens if you get arrested for deuce and
You
go,
should be, as a police officer, you should be held.
right?
Absolutely.
And that's why if you make a bad decision, you're going in there. Look, celebrities get special treatment because they're celebrities.
Yeah, when they get a DUI,
Right.
but you, as an officer, you do not. As
You
a matter
go
of
sh-
fact, you get the full Monty.
Right. But
'Cause
you
you're gonna
also
get
get
slammed, and-
segregated. You get set aside from everyone else. You get PC.
Well, that's just to prevent liability for
Right.
the
But
jail.
that is still, to me, don't be posting shit you shouldn't post.
True.
If you already believe
Period.
this stuff,
well,
you
here-
probably shouldn't wear the badge to begin with.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So, I mean, what are you talking about? Because if you don't think you work with every race, color, creed, religion, section, and sexual origin and national origin, then you're lying to yourself.
Right.
Because you already do. You're working with every part of that cross section of every
Right.
society. So quit offending your coworkers.
Yeah. Well,
I get that
Well,
part.
I think that police officers should be held to the higher standard, because it's when they're misbehaving that they're making us all look bad.
right.
Yeah.
So
That's an old school value. I like that.
well, that's how
It's
I
gone
think.
now.
And it shouldn't be.
It
No.
shouldn't be. but
Everybody
it
would.
is.
I can't
Officers
believe that
wouldn't be
it
on the
is.
news so much.
You would think it would be the opposite with the hypersensitivity that the society has right now.
Right.
I can't even believe some of the stuff that I seen posted on that story. I was
Oh,
like,
it was bad
what?
shit. Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Well, and that.
Me and nobody else that I know, at least in my old department, would even consider posting
No, I wouldn't
any
have
of that
posted any
stuff.
of
Are
that,
you
man.
stupid, man?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, was it racial stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
A lot
my
of Muslim.
gosh!
A lot of
Yeah,
Muslim.
come
A lot
on.
of KKK.
yeah. All
And
that
so
stuff.
that goes. So let's go into the next part of the midweek, which is the Geyer, Amber Geyer, I think, or down in Texas, goes in to the wrong apartment, thinks somebody's in her apartment, and shoots and kills him. He's eating a bowl of cereal. Old boy's mind his own business.
Mhm.
She gets convicted last week.
Right.
Gets 10 years.
Yep.
And, there were a lot of people that voiced a lot of issues with that, her getting charged. Me personally, I think she got what she deserved.
She walked into the wrong apartment.
She was one level above hers.
After an extended
After an
long
extended
I
shift.
get that.
Oh,
And so one of the things that they did, the prosecution did, was they served a search warrant on her phone and her text messages. They went back to 2014 when she was working off duty at a Martin Luther King parade. And she had made some disparaging comments to some of her coworkers about Martin Luther King parade. And that didn't look very favorable for her.
Right.
But all things being equal, what they came to was, again, old school police. I was taught different. I'm going to challenge somebody before I just smoke them.
yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Even in my own house.
Right.
Right?
Well-
I'm if the door's open in my house, I'm going to back out.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not going to I'm not going to go in looking to hurt
Because I'm
somebody.
never going to clear a building by
myself. Not
No,
only that,
But if you walk into your own place and what you think is your
I don't think she was. I don't think she was clearing it. So
You
I don't know all the details on that, and we talked about that last week.
if you're
but-
clearing it by yourself, you're stupid.
Right.
That's the first problem. And then, but if you're walking into your own place and you
you
sit,
see an
somebody's sitting
image,
there and
somebody, yeah. So I don't know how all that transferred and played out, but honestly, like last week, I just said I personally think she was just scared. She got terrified and out of panic.
Right.
She didn't break down to any base training of, hey, I'm on a call. She was already in the code yellow. She's like, oh, you know what, I'm in.
fuck, she was in code black. She shot
Yeah,
the dude. He
she
was eating
was.
cereal.
Yeah, but I mean, she had left her police training
Right.
like out in the car, and came up in there, and all of a sudden saw this guy, and and I'm obviously assuming quite a bit, but yeah,
well, that's the thing. We
she
don't
was
have all
scared
the
of-
details.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And-
Well,
and the
we
jury
had-
did.
They had all the
Jury did.
details, and they got her for 10 years.
Yeah, and
So-
I think it should have been 15.
Right.
I was gonna say
That's
she's
no.
lucky. She only
She's
got
lucky
10.
she got 10. She's got.
Yeah.
If she's
Yeah,
in it.
I
She's
think
in it.
15 would be a more suitable deal, but I wasn't on the jury.
If
so what do you
she's
do?
if she's
So-
serious, I mean,
Yeah.
she could have got a lot more. That
Yeah.
was definitely something that shouldn't have happened. So the last thing we're going to talk about, Mark and I did not necessarily see eye to eye on, which is
Fight.
yeah,
We're gonna fight in the parking lot.
which is this.
I'll be back next week.
What is it? Fort Worth? Was
Yeah.
it Fort Worth?
Uh,
This officer, these officers get dispatched to a check welfare
Yeah, it
or
was
a burglary call, Fort Worth, Texas.
Right.
And the neighbor calls and says, "Look, the front door's open. My neighbor's front door shouldn't be open like that. Can you check on it?" That's what the original story said. But then it turns out later that he got dispatched to a possible burglary at that location. Was a house.
Well, those are two very different scenarios.
Ah,
What
yeah,
you're getting
absolutely.
dispatched to. So
Right. So we'll go with the burglary scenario, which is the one that would heighten us just a little bit.
right.
And they get there, the front door's open. This is all on body cam. This is all factual. You can look it up yourself. They get there. We'll say officer number 2, which is the shooter. He basically quietly goes along the house to one of the windows where he promptly flashes his flashlight through the window. He sees a female, black female, and this is all body cam from
2:25 a.m.
yeah, it's like 2:30 in the morning.
So the neighbor was the RP calling
Right.
it in, saying, "Hey, I noticed her doors are open."
At 2:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
Okay.
which is a problem
Yeah.
On a burglary call.
on a burglary
Yep.
That
call.
would definitely be a burglary.
Right.
Okay.
So
You'd think.
they go down. He goes along the house, goes to the window, immediately hits his flashlight into the window. On his body cam, I think there's maybe a second that goes by, 2 seconds tops. He says, "Drop the gun, drop the gun."
He says, "Put your hands up." According to this article, it says a highly edited body cam video said, "Quote: Put your hands up!" Exclamation point. Put your hand or show me your hands! Exclamation point. He does not identify himself as an officer, and within 2 seconds, he fired through the window at the resident of the home. Now, here's the backstory on all that. He didn't know she was the resident. He didn't know anything other than, and I heard in a news article, it doesn't say so in this one, but the resident had a gun and started raising the gun towards him. Now, in her defense, here's this officer on the outside of her house with no doubt a flashlight on, just illuminated up, so she can't see past that light curtain. And she probably, in her own fear, raised that because inside of that house with her is her nephew that she's caring for. She's also caring for her mother. So, I mean, the backstory on this side of that, with this lady being shot through that window, is horrible.
Right.
And, I mean,
And for
he doesn't know any of that.
Right,
None of
and-
the officers do. I get it. And she doesn't know anything other than there's somebody outside of my house yelling something at me. Who knows what she hears audibly or not. And a light shining through her window, so maybe she put it up to scare him away. Who knows?
Well, and here's
But
the-
she ended up dead.
Right. And, you know, I'm a huge believer in the First Amendment. Right?
Yeah.
Second Amendment.
Or Second Amendment. To the right to bear arms.
That's his right to say he can have a gun.
Yeah. I meant to say Second Amendment. But, look, we talked about this before we went to the podcast. Don't show up to my house flashing a flashlight in my fucking window
Yeah.
and not identify yourself.
I think
Okay, it's not
many
gonna
people-
happen.
So many people would do that.
Yeah.
There's a huge tactical error in that without.
Huge.
Police don't move.
Well, Mark,
Man.
T and I have talked about this.
I don't know what the standard police challenge is being taught at the academy, but some of the stuff I heard coming out of cadets that I was training
Right.
was like, freeze and
Freeze.
reach for the sky. And I'm like, what? Hey, man, I don't care what they taught you or what you thought you heard. It's always going to be police don't move, because we live in Phoenix, man. People don't know what freeze means. It doesn't freeze here.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. T and I talked before we started this. In my department, open door was you announced.
Yeah.
Right? You got on there, you have, hey, Mesa Police, anyone inside, come out there, hands up, we're going to send in the dog.
Yeah.
And there was always an officer there.
Yeah.
Well, we got a dog out here.
Shut up, giving
Right?
away our tactics,
Yeah,
fool.
shut
Shut
it.
up. No,
Right?
you, shut up. Giving away the tactics.
They know what it is. These guys didn't do that. They didn't announce themselves, right?
It's all sneaky.
Let me
sneaky,
tell you,
sneaky.
you start barking police at the front door, people are starting to pay attention.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't bark it, you flash a flashlight in the window, and I've got my nephew or my niece with me, you're going to have some problems.
Yeah.
It's going to come to a little shootout,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I don't have a problem with them charging manslaughter. Mark and you and I
Manslaughter.
talked about it. They said murder.
Yeah, they did charge him. They fired him and they charged him with murder, and that was my issue. It's like the man didn't deliberately go out to commit murder on this person, in fear and out of the exigency of the circumstance. He made a definitely a wrong error, and that's reckless, and that's definitely manslaughter.
Right, yeah.
I don't
He was
see it- I don't see it
definitely,
otherwise.
yeah.
Not
and
murder.
No.
Maybe it's different in Texas.
It could be.
Oh, maybe stand your ground. Your
Yeah,
own
I don't
home or
know.
something.
Yeah.
Maybe one of those things.
But I will
don't know.
say, in all reality, I mean, the officer did exactly after he resigned and they hooked him. He's like, they read him around and he's like, I don't have anything to say to you, and that was it. So he kept his mouth shut, which is good. But the video is going to speak for
it's
itself.
all on video. You
There's
don't have to say
nothing-
anything.
I
No.
don't know where the training failed, but you should never not challenge or identify yourself.
Like the tactics of all of that was so bad, and it's easy to armchair quarterback it. I mean, I've been in major situations where the tactics were, afterwards we dissected and it was like, man, that was totally wrong. Shouldn't have done this. Shouldn't have done this. But man, you don't split up like you're like
Right.
hunting.
But you know
pheasants.
what, though, Mark? It's funny because even when you tell your story, you say, police drop the gun, police drop the gun, police drop the
Yeah.
gun.
I couldn't say
You,
that. I was
yeah,
saying that 100 times an hour.
and that's I think
No,
that's
no.
the difference.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was talking to my brother-in-law about today, as a matter of fact, was I think these youngsters, they've been playing fucking video games their whole life. They think we got to be stealthy. We
Well,
gotta
that
be
whole
quiet.
thing, like, hey, split up.
Yeah.
You take this side, you take.
No.
then you're shooting across the house into each other, you
Exactly.
morons.
Right.
You don't do any of that.
So
Yeah.
those were the three, because we talked about the Phoenix issue. Those were the things for the
Yeah.
midweek. And, chime in what you think. I'm not saying I'm correct. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't see a problem with them convicting Geyer for what she did.
Right.
10 years seems reasonable. Maybe not to the family,
Yeah.
but she didn't go in there with any malice or premeditation.
Suppose you're right, and then obviously a first-time offense.
Right.
And all that
I mean, there's a lot of things that
stuff,
take that
right.
into. She does 85% of that. She's about 8 years. She does good
Yeah.
behavior 6.5.
Right.
1 day in prison for a cop is bad. 1 day in prison for anyone is bad. But
Right.
also with that is all the trauma that goes with it. She never intended to hurt anybody. There was the hugging of the
Yeah.
victim's
that was
brother.
Very moving.
That was huge.
great thing on
Yeah,
his
the
part.
judge allowing that to happen. So,
What a human.
all right, Mark, I appreciate you coming back out for the midweek tea. As always, it is a pleasure to have you here. We cannot wait until you can come back full time,
Yeah.
Someday, full
and
time.
eventually we'll have you on camera, and that is going to be a moment to be dealt with.
The great reveal.
I would like for people to start drawing what they think I look like
Oh,
and sending it
yes!
in.
Yes.
Send that in.
So hold
That's
on.
gonna be
So
too funny,
all
man.
right. So let's take a minute here. T, I just want you to say this. My name is T,
Right now, my name is T.
and I'm a police officer.
Mm-mm.
No?
I don't want to say that.
Okay.
Why are you trying to get her to say?
Why
Well,
you get,
I'm just saying.
What's the motive of that?
I want and it could be anything. I was gonna say you could be lesbian too, but
Oh,
I don't-
I am a lesbian.
well, I don't want them to get any prejudgment in it.
Oh, he's
I want
trying
them
to-
to
Oh.
draw
Trying
what
to
they
get a-
think you look
yeah.
like
Oh, we're
Off-
really doing that?
Yes.
Off of what you're saying.
off of what you're saying in your voice.
Give them a them
Oh.
a visual.
You just told them you're a lesbian, so that doesn't really count now, does it?
Well, maybe I wear lipstick.
Okay, how about you say,
Maybe I
my
will.
name is T,
My name is T.
and I am sexy.
That's
That's
fun.
harder to say than you're
That's
a
funny.
police officer.
No. She's just humble. That's all.
No,
She's just humble.
but okay, so
Why
based,
don't you just quit telling her what to say? She said enough already.
Yeah, so
and the
based-
audience has got a visual.
based
the
on-
audience has got the mind is going
They're-
crazy. Now put it to a
people
pen.
are going to draw you all.
Put it to a
You're going to
pen.
look like Farrah Fawcett by the time we're done here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
That'd be doing Farrah
All right.
some justice.
So if you're one of our followers and you listen to T, you hear her voice, draw a picture, send a picture
yeah.
of what you think T looks like.
Yeah.
Okay.
No
That'll be
one that
great.
knows me is allowed to play this game
We're not.
because that's cheating.
Yeah, that is
Hmm.
true. True.
All right, guys.
Great
We'll see you
time.
guys on the next one.
All right. Adios.